Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast. I am your host, Nick Zaniboni, with my co-host, Mr. Jason Beckner. How you doing this evening, I guess? Evening. It's light out. I am all thrown off.
Yeah, it's that time of year where it's just like, is it nighttime yet? Is it daytime still? Who knows? It's like 9 o'clock and it's still sunshine.
I know. It's crazy, man. And you know what? I'm happy about it. I am not happy, however, that baseball is not on this week. And it's really bumming me out. So that's coming with the theme of this week's cold open question of the week, and that is, what the hell have you been doing, Jason? Ready? So where you been?
That's a good question, actually. Luckily, it's only 2 days, right? It's today and tomorrow with no baseball because there was a game yesterday.
That doesn't count, Jason.
The home run derby was on Monday. The draft there was baseball and the draft. You know what? We need to start a petition too. They used to put the futures game on at some point when it was by itself. To put it on the Saturday night.
I think it was on Friday, right?
No, I thought it was on Saturday night. I couldn't watch it because it was on Saturday night. I was at a local independent league here, partner league. I went to one of the game. It was in Wisconsin for my birthday. I went. The Lake County Dock Hounds versus the Kane County Cougars, which is funny because the Kane County Cougars are like 10 minutes from my house, and they used to be the low A affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're no longer that affiliate. They're now a partner league. So that's where I was on Saturday. And then, Sunday was the draft. Monday was the home run derby. Last night, I did kind of tune in and out of the All-Star game. Great ending. But a lot of times, like the All-Star game, it's just like very underwhelming. Like we need to...
Every year, I'm like, I'm gonna sit down, gonna watch some of the All-Star game, and then like I'll watch like the first inning. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like Zach Gallen is pitching against these three great American League hitters, cool. But I can't sit down and watch the whole thing, Jason. It's just too much. Like I don't care enough.
Yeah, it's weird because it's usually always dominated by pitching, right? The starting pitching always just like last night, it was 3-2. In an all-star studded game, you would think that some runs would be scored, even with these new rules. But the pitching always dominates the all-star game, which makes it a very boring watch.
Because it's fresh arms every inning.
Yeah.
Like,
one thing I will say that I have been embellishing in since Friday, which I never thought I would, maybe it was the lack of baseball, is the NBA Summer League.
Oh, yeah?
I watched the Bulls versus Sacramento last night for short. I didn't, tune in from start to finish, but it was something that you're a basketball guy. What's your thought on Wemby throwing a turd up on Friday night, and now he's just being pulled from the Summer League?
All right, he had a phenomenal second game.
Okay,
his second game he dropped like 34 or something.
Oh, did he?
The real story is Britney Spears.
Yeah.
This poor kid. He comes to America. He's here for not even a month.
Yeah.
He's all wrapped in this story. TMZ. He's all over TMZ. He doesn't even know who Britney Spears is, Jason. He is.
Yeah.
He's. I don't know. I'm still. I wanted to, going into the draft, I was like, I'm going to be a Scoot Henderson guy. I'm going to be like, he's always going to be better than him, but he's not.
Right.
The only thing is the whole body thing. Like, he's so skinny, but I think he's going to be fine, especially with Popovich and whatever. They still won't be good. Like, he's not going to make the Spurs make the playoffs. Like, he needs a team. He currently doesn't have a team around him, but it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to sell my Spurs tickets this year because people pay money to see Wemby.
As a basketball, we'll call him outside. I'm an outsider. I like it, but I don't follow closely enough. I know that he's probably more of a pedigreed prospect, but it reminds me of like Giannis Antetokounmpo or whatever. he came in like a little beanpole, put on all this mass, and now he's like an unstoppable force. I could see that happening with Wemby.
Yeah, that's a good take, Jason.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks you. Well, it's not a basketball podcast; it's a baseball podcast. But if you want to, get award-winning rankings, number 1 fantasy baseball ranking this year. 3 of our rankers are in the top 10. We also, if you become a member at fantasysixpack.net, you get access to those award-winning rankings. You get access to our Discord. We got tons of different content on the website that you get access to by becoming a member. So jump on over to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Get all those great options that are available. And so, I don't know if you know, but MLB Draft was on Sunday night, which I do love that they've moved it now and put it in prime time.
And it's an actual thing. They like people there talking, as opposed to like it only being on MLB network, and like Harold Reynolds is being like, this shortstop, his comp is Derek Jeter. Like, no, it is a real draft coverage.
Yes. It almost mirrors the NFL in a sense that like the commissioner comes out, he announces the pick. They have a handful of players that are invited to the draft, guys that they know are most likely going to go.
Great crowd there. I was very impressed with the crowd.
The setup was super sick. It was inside and on the field of the Seahawks stadium.
Is that the first time they've done it on a site? Because I feel like they usually just do it in a studio at like the ML in like Atlanta or something with TBS or some shit.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know if
it's ever happened that fans were allowed to come in, and I'm all about that.
Yeah, especially for that first round. Like, you don't got to do it. I mean, they obviously aired the first 2 rounds, but I think with the quickness of a lot of these guys, making it to the majors now, back in the day, like the 90s and early 2000s, like those guys wouldn't see the field for 4 or 5 years. Nowadays, we got guys debuting next. Some of these guys could date, like Cruz could, be on the team next year. So it's like, it's cool to get him out there, get him in the public eye.
Could be there in 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool to get the make it an event and put it like during the All-Star break on primetime TV. It makes it a little bit of excitement, especially for people like us, like dynasty heads that are like. Yeah. Granted, we don't have our first year player draft for probably another 6 months, but it's fun to see where these guys are getting taken.
Yeah, and to see where they go.
Yeah, and I like that it follows immediately after like the baseball season for like the college and the high school baseball season. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
exactly.
It's not waiting like 6 months and then all of a sudden these and heard from these guys. Like LSU just won the World Series like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah. I agree.
Speaking of LSU, there was going into the draft a consensus of 2 teammates. Who was going to be the 1-1? Who was Pittsburgh going to take at 1-1? And it was the pitcher, Paul Skenes, or the outfielder, Dylan Cruz, both from LSU, teammates. It's so funny because like last year, Pittsburgh had the number 1 pick last year too, and they took Henry Davis.
Yep.
So then they get the number 1 pick again this year, and they go pitcher. Obviously, the upside of an SP1, ace of ace capabilities. However, Dylan Cruz was, just as good in his own right. Got on base safely in all 75 games this year for LSU. Here's a fun fact when I was doing some research for Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz's first NCAA home run was against Paul Skenes.
What?
When Paul Skenes started at Air Force before transferring to LSU.
Wow. I learned something today, Jason.
I learned that myself today too. So that was a really cool thing to see. Kind of a weird outlier that like his first home run ever is also against like his soon to be teammate and College World Series champion. Wow. But real quickly, going into the draft, if you were let's go with real life. If you were the Pirates, would you prefer Skenes or Cruz?
Pirates, Skenes.
Okay. And then for fantasy, well, still for me, I would go Cruz. Just because it's tough. I don't know. Real real life, you can kind of take the pitcher and be like, oh, if he gets Tommy John, we'll still have him in a few years.
Yeah.
Like for fantasy, it's like you want that instant impact.
Yes. Fantasy, I'm going Cruz 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick Skenes. This is going to be like my hot take. I wouldn't pick Skenes in the top 5 in a first-year player draft.
So yeah, like after I kind of agree with that. There's the only reason I might take him is in like the 3rd or 4th pick is because this pitching class is abysmal. Did you know there was only 5 pitchers taken in that first round on Sunday night?
Yeah, that's wild. But no such thing as a pitching prospect.
This is true. The pitching depth was awful this year. So I could see, for one, why Pirates took Skenes at 1-1 because of the, there's not a lot of depth at pitching. And I think Pittsburgh is seeing kind of like them starting to become competitive.
Like somewhat of a youth movement, yeah.
Yeah, Skenes could come up again. Like he'll most likely be in that rotation next year. So that for them makes sense.
Their opening day starter next year.
Yeah.
Has that maybe like Strasburg did that, but like the year after being drafted, you're just the opening day starter. That would be bananas.
Yeah. I don't know. I know that he had a heavy workload on his arm this year at LSU.
Yeah, so they'll probably
shut him down. There was a couple starts where he was like 130 pitches, and
it was wild. He's a real horse.
Yeah, I mean they might maybe give him like if they were somehow to make like the playoffs or something, maybe give him like a small bullpen role. But I can see him for sure being the opening day starter for Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you know what did suck for me though? This also happened in the NBA draft when they're talking to these kids, and they're like, "Who did you look up to growing up?" And Dylan Cruz was like, "Oh, Bryce Harper," and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm that old now that these players have looked up to players that are close to my age." And that's tough for me. Like all of the NBA players are obsessed with Paul George. Don't know why. They love Paul George, and now it's Bryce Harper's turn.
Didn't some guy that just got drafted say that Paul George was the GOAT of better than LeBron and Michael?
Yep.
Why? What's the infatuation with Paul George?
I think it's because I don't know if I know you're not a big basketball guy, but there was a point where the Pacers were kind of head to head with the Cavs or the Heat in those LeBron years. And Paul George was just like that other guy. So I'm assuming people were just rooting against LeBron. They were like, well, I love Paul George. But
gotcha.
I'm a Dylan Cruz guy in a dynasty format. I'm a Paul Skenes guy when it comes to real life. If my team was picking first, I'd want them to pick him.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, we won't get there until first year player draft season starts, but if I owned like the 1-1 and I knew somebody was like gonna try to like if I knew that they were gonna take Skenes at 1-1, and I might even do it.
Yeah.
I might even do it just for the fact that if I can get back to 2 or 3, I'm now gonna get either Wyatt Langford or Dylan Cruz and let somebody else deal with the Skenes.
Yeah.
Drop back.
Leiter really killed me. Not me personally, but I thought Jack Leiter or Leader, whatever his name is, was going to be so good.
Yep.
And then he's garbage, like actual trash, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Same with Kumar Rocker. I mean, Rocker was hurt, but like Leiter was like a no doubt gonna be starting for the Rangers next year. So we could be having this conversation in a year being like Skenes isn't that good.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because like in my home dynasty league, it's a little bit, they got a lot of crazy rules, but like it's an auction league, right? So we don't have, for our first year player draft, we do auction too. Each kind of like how the MLB is, each team has like an extra $5, right? Yeah. To bid on however many rookies they want if your roster allows it. And I bid 80 to 90% of my budget that year on Leiter, and I own Leiter still to this day, and I'm just drowning in my tears.
Yeah, that sucks.
So that's why you always can't, rely and think just because he dominated in college, especially for pitchers, they're going to come in here and make an impact right away. However, I think Skenes is a little bit better than Leiter, but you never know with pitching. There's no such thing as a pitching prospect. So when it comes to Dynasty, absolutely go Dylan Cruz at
Yep.
1-1. And honestly, if I had the one, like I said, I'd either trade it, and I might even take Wyatt Langford over Dylan Cruz. Wyatt Langford out of Florida had an amazing. The power was really good, and that what he did during the College World Series.
He's a perfect fit for Texas too.
Yes,
especially current Texas.
Yes, exactly. I think he could be someone that's up next year or the end of next year, fits right in that time slot, hitting between like Josh Jung and Corey Seager. You know what I mean? Like, I would, as I maybe as time goes on and we get closer to the draft season, Wyatt Langford might even become the 1-1 in some leagues.
I think it's going to be the Japanese pitcher, but yes.
Yeah, it could be possible too. Yeah. It's interesting. It's always interesting because like the Japanese players, sometimes people highly regard them, and then others like 30 Rock, both Senga and Yoshida fell to like 5th overall.
Yeah. No, you're right. It really depends on what team is drafting. If your team's up there. So usually it'll be a team pushing in their chips to trade up for pick 4 to pick this guy. But we'll see.
All I'm saying is if you have the 1-1, I'd probably try to trade back like to the 2 or 3 if possible. It's always hard, but
when in doubt, trade back. It really can't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we'll go from the 1-1 overall, and let's look at the first round just in general. Is there anybody that stood out in your eyes that maybe fell more than they should have?
Jason, I'm going to let you go because I have 2 people that I kind of want to talk about, and I want to see if you talk about one of them.
So I have 2 people too, and I feel like one of them is your guy. So I'll go out on a limb right now.
I did not pick a Red Sox.
Oh, interesting. Because I thought Kyle Teel at 14 was a really good steal.
Yes, I loved it. I didn't even know.
I thought the Cubs were going to take him at 13. But they went. I love the Cubs pick too, but that's also a little bit of a yeah. The bias is a little bit there, but I also think Shaw's a really good player, so I'm not gonna be like he just because he's a Cub, he's awesome. But yeah, so Kyle Teel at 14 to Boston, that was a huge. I thought he's someone that was getting mocked in the top 10, like 7th, 8th overall.
I wasn't even paying attention to him. Like I was just like, hey, no, because I focused on a pocket.
Okay.
That pocket was like these like 3-4 guys, and I was like, okay, like which one's it gonna be? But I was excited to get Teel. I don't really know much about him. He's a catcher. I don't know why the Royals drafted a high school catcher. I would never draft a high school catcher, especially one that's not like – I know I talked about Ford a couple weeks ago, but he's not a catcher.
Yeah, he was drafted for his bat.
The guy they drafted a catcher out of high school, and that never works in my opinion.
That was actually a really bad pick, I think. I don't know.
The worst.
Yeah, that was really bad. He was like, he just doesn't do anything. He's just, I don't know. I want nothing to do with Blake Mitchell. I probably would even take Blake Mitchell.
No.
Even like the 3rd or 4th. I probably wouldn't take him even in the 3rd round.
Yeah, no.
I don't want nothing to do with Blake Mitchell.
My only concern with Teel is Zach Collins.
Okay. But I think
Virginia, and they both Teel has more of an actual – he is a good catcher.
Yeah.
But Collins, I thought, was going to be like this great catcher and like be able to hit for power, and he isn't. And I don't see similarities in their game. It's just because they went to the same school. And
I do know that Teel is probably a better real life prospect than he is a fantasy.
Yes,
but
I agree.
At that value,
it can't hurt.
Yeah. So my other guy that I was
catcher.
What's that?
He might not even stick at catcher.
Yeah, I mean, he could be one of these like Dalton Varsho guys, and like I feel like Boston. The good thing too is with him, there's no one really in that system blocking Teel from moving quickly through the system. And I feel like Boston could, when he's not catching, give him some time in like left field or outfield or something.
Yeah, second base, anything.
Really. Varsho. I feel like this next guy I'm going to talk about is somebody that you probably are going to talk about, and that's Hurston Waldrop, pitcher from Florida.
No.
You fell all the way to I think it was 19th to Atlanta.
Right? I just don't want to talk about pitchers.
Oh,
I didn't bring him up.
He fell all the way to 24th. And he's obviously gonna be the second best pitcher in this class.
And of course it was the fucking Braves, Jason.
That's another reason why I wanted to call it out too, is this dude's a huge power pitcher, throws 3 pitches that all kind of sit in that mid 90s, upper 90s. And he goes to a team that is gonna like develop and mold him into this he's just gonna be another Braves pitching prospect coming through the pipeline. That's what they do. That's all. It's Florida is always been turning up. I mean, I think last year we talked about Hunter Bronco or the guy that you mentioned last year. Barco, yeah. Florida's always good at getting this. Atlanta coming up with another pitching prospect that's going to be here for probably as soon as again next year, 2 years from now.
I can't believe we both picked 2 people and they didn't overlap.
Yeah.
So basically, like I told you, when I can't really absorb the MLB draft as much as the NFL and the NBA. One, because there's no trading. So there's never going to be well, what if the Patriots want to trade into
they need to change that somehow.
They really do. So I've really focused on a pocket of players. And those are the guys that so the guys that I'm going to talk about are Tommy Troy out of Stanford, got drafted by the Diamondbacks, and Matt Shaw that got drafted by Maryland. Just because those were guys that I was looking at the Red Sox possibly picking. So I looked more into them because I wasn't considering Teal because he was being mocked so early. So I was like, whatever. So these were the 2 that kind of just stuck out the most. And both of them, I think I prefer Shaw over Troy just because of the second base, just because second base is always he seems to have some pop in his bat. That's something that I would be interested in, especially in a fantasy perspective. I don't know both of these guys, they could both be fast risers. I'm not saying NATO fast riser, but we could see them towards the end of next year, especially this Diamondbacks team. They're going to be actually very good next year. So they might be a little bit more aggressive, and Cubs won't be as good as the Diamondbacks are, but another guy that I would definitely keep an eye on.
You nailed it too. I talked about it a little before. I'm a little bit biased, but I loved the Shaw pick. Yeah. My only concern is he's from Big Ten. Big Ten pitching usually stinks, and Maryland's ballpark is very hitter friendly. But even in a hitter friendly park, he had 24 bombs or 25 bombs this year as a second baseman.
Love that.
And what do they play? 60 games or something like that? Yeah. 50, 70 games. So it's the power, I think, is going to be there to hit for high averages there. Shaw was a great pick in the first round. I don't know if we want to count the competitive ones. There was a couple other ones I thought were really good. Some guys that came out of nowhere. I didn't think were going to be this high. Was the shortstop by Toronto.
Yeah. I saw Waterloo tweeting about him.
Yeah, so he's got huge power. Again, he's a high school shortstop though, so that was one thing too. Is this draft was jam packed with high school shortstops. Arjun Namala
just draft a high school shortstop, really, legitimately. Yeah. If you don't know what or who to pick, just pick a shortstop that's athletic and in high school.
Yeah, and then the Mariners. They had 3 picks in the first 30. Their third pick, which would have been, hold on one second, let me just double check the number. It was 39.
They got a pick for J-Rod winning the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that was sick.
Pick 29. That's crazy.
Yes. So the guy that they took at 30th. So yeah, they got to pick 29 and 30th back to back.
That's awesome.
Their 30th overall pick, Ty Pete, another high school shortstop, I think is going to be, someone to be on radars in a few years, maybe even as early as next year. Again, it's hard with the high school shortstops or high school hitters. it's like they're all good. They all have like insane numbers, so you can't even really project out what they're going to do.
You just need to get them just get them in the building and see what they actually are.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought there was it's always so funny too because baseball is such a selective, especially outside even the top 5 can get kind of cloudy who's going to take who. There's always guys that fall and always guys that just come out of nowhere. And like Blake Mitchell going like 9th overall or whatever it was, the Royals, like that was weird. So the first round was definitely not without surprises and roller coasters. So before we get out of here, let's talk about maybe some of the guys that is on your radar for your first year player draft. It doesn't have to be like someone probably outside the top 10 or top 15. Someone that you might take like in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I've got one. This is my homer pick, Jason.
Okay.
And we have the same initials, which is kind of cool. The Red Sox 2nd round pick, Nazan Zanatello. What is he? He's a high school shortstop that has some pop. And I found a fun fact today. Do you know who his basketball coach was?
Who?
Jason Tatum's dad.
Whoa, that's a weird connection.
Yes. It's very crazy. And his pitching coach, his bench coach at his high school team played for the Red Sox. Just a lot of weird connections here. I'm all about him. Everything that I saw, I can't say I've watched a ton of tape on a high school shortstop, but he's someone that I'm excited about, especially because since I'm seeing a lot of like the tweets about it, like his stats and like some quick videos, everything I've seen is good. He looks cool. He's got nice hair. He met Kenley Jansen yesterday at the All-Star game. They like met up. They took a photo. I'm all about him. I'm going to pick him probably too early, but that's fine. How about you?
Man, it's so hard. I feel like there's a couple of good guys that, I'll give you a couple low-hanging fruits that are just outside like the top 15. So they'll probably be like in the early 2nd. They might start even raising up a little bit. That's the Enrique Bradford went the speedster out of Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Went to Baltimore. Yep. That was a great landing spot for him. Guy flies all over the diamond. How we've seen them excel with the with the developing prospects over the few years and promoting him pretty quickly. I feel like Bradford is someone that you could probably, a lot of people are going to see, this guy's he's just a speedster, he's just going to steal bases. But I think with a little bit, maybe a bit more seasoning, might be able to even, hit for a little bit of power. He might even fall to like middle of your 2nd round.
Yeah.
Someone that I thought that you can probably get pretty late is Colton Ledbetter, who was drafted by the Rays. Anytime you're going to get a guy drafted by the Rays, pretty much right around slot too. So I don't think, probably not going to probably get the slot money that he's due. But he was really great for Mississippi State. Great outfielding prospect. He's someone that might start raising up some of these rankings as more people deep dive into some of these players and these draftees. But Colton Ledbetter, I feel like is somebody that could be one of my guys. It's kind of funny. Last year, I don't remember what we did for last year's draft, but one of the guys that was my guy last year, just to take a victory lap, and it's not even a full victory lap yet because he's still in the minors, still at like high A. Ivan Melendez. Last year, I was touting him all over the place.
He just got called up. He's in Double-A now.
Oh, nice. See,
I meant to text you that because I did remember that you were high on him.
Yeah, he's one of my guys. So,
yes,
if you're looking for a my guy this year, I'm going to go with Colton Ledbetter or Enrique Bradley for more of a low hanging fruit.
I was looking at when I was going over these. Was it Zach? No, Jake Jaloff. Is Zach Jaloff like an already player?
Yeah, Scout says he loves fun facts.
Drafted 60th by the Dodgers, has some pop. Trust the Dodgers. I anticipate you'd be able to get him relatively later, unless he has a crazy next few months, but another guy just to keep an eye on.
All right,
Jason, I need to run a trade by you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that you said that you had a trade that you wanted to run by. Let's hear
So
it.
this year in my home league, my team is good. If it was Roto, I'd be in third place.
Whoa.
It is not Roto, and I'm in 15th out of 30. No, out of 24. I'm slowly coming up. I'm in like 11th now. I have a favorable schedule the next few weeks. So I made a big deal, like a very big one, and I'm nervous about it. So I traded.
So wait, the trade has already gone through.
Yes, done.
Okay.
Didn't even consult you. Usually I'll like shoot you a text, but I knew this was a lot. All right. We've got Logan Allen.
Okay.
Bryce Elder. This is who I traded away. Harry Ford. A first-round pick.
Okay.
And Tristan Cassis.
Holy shit. Who are you getting in return, dude?
Yanier Cano.
Okay.
Wandy Peralta. Matt Olson.
Okay.
It's very much like you can't say like one team destroyed someone. It's very even. It makes a lot of sense. But if I don't make the playoffs, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Olson's like basically a top 10 dynasty asset at this point.
I know. And I got him without trading Mayer, which was like a win for me. So I own Mayer as well. So I was like, well, I'll give you one of Cassis or Mayer. And then he said, well, how about this?
You should have given up Mayer, but that's just me.
No.
And so, yeah, is it first round pick this coming up draft?
Yeah, it's late, like a playoff team.
Yeah, so it will be like what do you say?
I don't think Bryce Elder is actually that good. He's been great, but like, I just got Logan Allen in a deal a couple weeks ago, so like I'm not attached to him. Yeah,
I think it's like I said, I think it's pretty fair because again, if you're like trying to compete and win now, Matt Olson's like was he lead the league in RBIs right now? And he's just continuing to that team is just continuing to put up runs. I mean, if you want to say one thing, you might be able to say like you might slightly overpay, but I think you always have to overpay when you're offering prospects and young, unproven talent, right? Like Matt Olson's proven he can hit 30 plus home runs and 100 plus RBIs, where none of those guys that you gave up have proven they can do that.
Yeah. What I do like is my deadline is in late August. So like if I'm out of it, I could trade Cano, probably get some prospects back. So just like replenish for the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Cano's been so good though. Like I was like, I can't keep ignoring Cano.
Yeah.
It is a saves holds league. So like that is a bigger deal. I'm going to go through my starting lineup just because we love doing that. Who's your catcher in 30 Rock? Sable?
Yeah.
So I have Sable, Olson, Nico, Chapman, Wander. Like this team is good.
Right.
Benson, Nemo, Verdugo, Quan, Jordan's coming back. So that'll be a big bump. My bench isn't great. Jake McCarthy's on my bench.
But you said what is the 24? Does the 24 team? 24 team league?
So like it's a good team.
Yeah.
That's what's bothered. That's why I made the trade, because I was just so angry at the fact that my team is good like on paper.
Yeah.
It's just been like some bad luck playing some guys.
But, over to like what course maybe 15 years of playing Dynasty Baseball now, I'm always gonna favor and I'll always overpay to get a proven top tier talent. Yeah. Is Cassis going to be good in maybe 3 years? Yes. Is he going to be as good as Matt Olson? Probably not.
But like he'll be good. But the way I think about it is if I trade Cassis and he does great, I'm still happy. So like I'm like, okay, I'm still good if Cassis is great.
I call this trade, I see it a lot in Dynasty football too. It's like you just traded 4 quarters for $1 is what you did.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you for reaffirming me.
No worries. I got to go. There's tornado sirens going off.
Oh, bro. Good luck.
All right. Have a good one.
See you, bro.